Hakuna Mahala, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Russ Swayback with The Good Podcast, coming to you live from the gorgeous Alive and Social Network studios in beautiful Minneapolis. And I, as usual, have the very attractive Aaron sitting here across from me. He's growing some facial hair. I'm very proud of you, Aaron. Say hello to everybody.
Good morning.
So you've decided, is this just like a winter thing, or you're just trying to grow this in so that way you can have a mustache? Is that what you said?
The annual November mustache.
Oh, I don't know anything about this. I'm kind of, is that a thing just with you, or is that a thing with men?
It's a thing with men. Movember.
Movember?
No shave November.
No shave November?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I think, you know what? Now that I think about it, I actually have heard something kind of like that. But it's going to take you all month.
That's why I got a head start.
It's going to take you, but what are you, 12? You're seriously so young. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening to the Good Podcast today. As promised, as I said last week, later on, we're going to be having my dear friend Suzanne Krupp on. She is a professional intuitive and psychic, and you're going to absolutely love her. We'll be taking some live questions through the website. So if you go to thegoodpodcast.com and ask questions, can you explain that to them, Aaron, so that way how it is that they'll ask questions, because you'll be letting us know what their questions are, and I'm not very good at explaining things.
Yeah, if you're on the Good Podcast page, there's just a big link that says comments, and you can click on that and type in your question. And
oh, it's the comments section of it. That's where it's going to be. Okay, then that makes total sense to me. So it's kind of by the heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Where people, because I've had people say, how do I, like it? I'm like, well, you got to click on the heart. And then, well, anyways. So Halloween is tomorrow. Let's just move on. And this past week on Fox, for anybody who watches me on Fox, I'm the lifestyle expert for Fox 9 here. So fox9.com, you can go on underneath the morning tab. And frankly, if you just do fox9.com/my name, Russ Swayback, you'll be able to see any of my my live clips that I've done. Well, they're technically not going to be live anymore. But this past week, actually, I ended up doing cocktails on Tuesday. I did some interesting Halloween-ish cocktails. One was called the Black Widow, and it was using a black vodka that's called Blavod. And they make it black, and it's made in France. I always like saying French. But the way that they end up making it black is with certain herbs. And it has a very, very slight anisey flavor to it. I'm not a big fan of anise, which is why I hate black licorice. But I ended up mixing that with, and the recipes, again, will be on fox9.com if you go on there. But I ended up mixing it with that Bing, the black cherry that you would find in the deli department, usually around like where the naked juices are. But that's got a little bit of a fizz to it, so it's better to kind of stir it instead of shake it. I shook it on the show, which was crazy. And I shake it everywhere. I mean, that's what everybody says. But and nobody can touch what I'm shaking. But you can look at it. Anyway, so I mixed it with black cherry juice, and I called that the Black Widow. And then the other recipe that I made was actually using that pressed cider, which I'm just such a huge fan of that pressed cider, which again is in the deli section. I don't know what the name of the manufacturer is on that, but it's murky. It's not clear. I hate that clear apple juice. It just says to me I'm refined, which everybody that listens to me knows I'm far from refined. And so I want the dirtiest, murkiest kind of thing around. But there's just something kind of rustic, I think, ultimately, to that apple cider. And that's what I use when I make mulled cider for the holidays, which I love mulled cider. For any of you that have never partaken of it, it's delicious, and you can get that mulled cider mixture. I know they sell it at Williams-Sonoma, but you can actually get it cheaper at Penzeys Spices. And if you don't have a local Penzeys around you, and the reason that I love Penzeys is because their spices are sold so often that because you want the freshest spices and herbs whenever you're buying them. And but Penzeys has such a big turnover that you're always getting really, really top quality ingredients with them. So, and I forget if it's maybe around $25 with Penzeys. Then you get free shipping. So check out Penzeys. excuse me, I'm a little irpy this morning, for their mulling spices mixture. And give that a try. And something else, a couple other ideas, because if you're going, well, what else do I do with that? I actually have mulled milk, believe it or not, or half and half sometimes, and then I'll use that mulled milk to make hot chocolate. Using, ground ground chocolate, not just the powdered stuff. I'm not going to drink that powdered stuff. I'm too highbrow for that. And then another thing that you can do with those mulling spices is you can actually mull wine. And a friend of mine calls that hot wine. And then just when you pull the mulled wine into your glass, put in a little bit of Grand Marnier, and it's lovely. A little bit of honey even in there if you want to sweeten it up a little bit. But that's absolutely delicious for the holidays or, again, when you're sad. So I use that. We got to get back to this, Ross. I use that pressed apple cider, and then I ended up using tequila, and then a little bit of pomegranate juice, and I called that the poison apple. So that was actually really, really good. If you want to be fancy about it, you can throw in some dry ice chips into your glass. Be very careful when you're handing that out. You don't want anybody burning their mouth with some dry ice. And then that'll make the drink bubble a little bit and kind of be a little bit smoky. Smoke, not smoky flavored. And then today I did black velvet donuts, which I don't know if there's any left downstairs or not, but I brought the rest here so that way I'm not eating them and doing something to my six-pack. Then I'm working very, very hard at trying to obtain and getting rid of my high cholesterol, as we all know. But and those are super easy. They're baked donuts, and you can get those baked donut pans. They come in smaller sizes and bigger sizes, so to speak, as long as you can do a mini donut or you can do like a regular sized donut. I love the regular sized pan because I think you can get a lot more uses out of that. And you can find those at Macy's or like at Joann. Believe it or not, Joann Fabrics has kind of a big baking, section with all kinds of really fantastic gadgets. I mean, Joann is kind of a second home to me. And but that has that nonstick, that kind of gray finish to it. So for those of you who are unaware, and I don't care what anybody ever says, oh, it's a nonstick, or it's gold nonstick, or it's whatever nonstick, it's ceramic nonstick, you always, 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 I'm going to say it one more time, you always need to lubricate that pan because something will stick. It will always, always stick. And these donuts just kind of, with that donut pan, they kind of have an infamous reputation, Aaron, because I know you make donuts all the time. With sticking in that pan. And that's the last thing. You don't want to go through all that effort. Not that there's a lot of effort in making them, but for a lot of people, even mixing a couple of ingredients is a lot of effort on their part if they hate to cook. And especially you don't want to put that cost into those ingredients and then have it not work or have those donuts stick to your pan. So just spray it with some nonstick spray. I personally prefer Bakeline, which uses a baking or a cornstarch is in there, and it doesn't develop that residue on your pans that a lot of people see if you get that kind of that brown, gucky, if you see people's pans that they've owned for like 20 years or whatever. And there's something about that release spray that doesn't develop that on there, and it'll keep your baking sheets and your cookware, even spraying it into a frying pan when you're going to be frying something so that way something doesn't stick. It's so much better for your cookware because you're making an investment regardless if you're spending, $10 for a fry pan or you're spending $120 for a fry pan. Your money is your money, and you should take care of those things. And getting a can of Bakeline, which I do know they sell at Williams-Sonoma. I don't know where else they sell it. But you can Google it and find it. Super great. Doesn't have any flavor to it, of course, and it's not any more expensive than the nonstick spray that you're going to find at the store. So anyway, so Halloween is tomorrow. I'm invited to a Halloween party tonight. I think I'm possibly going to go. My sister and I were both invited, and we are kind of trouble when we're together. I'm going to have her on as a guest here very soon, so that way you can, oh my God, the craziness between her and I, which then leads me almost to my next subject that I want to talk about. And I think it was actually last week when I was at the station, and they had announced that Adele had dropped her new song in the middle of the night. And it was getting all of these hits, and I personally, I don't know any of you who are big Adele listeners, but the thing that I love about her is that she's so haunting. Her voice is so, it just resonates with me. And her music, and what I got, of course, I totally got addicted to her back with her first album with Chasing Pavements. I don't know if Aaron didn't even know that was her song. And then she had come out with Hometown Glory, which that song really kind of hit home with me, kind of with my upbringing. And that's what I've loved about her music, is that it really resonates with different stages of my life and helps me kind of think about, the journey. I mean, that fucking journey that we all are on. And for myself, it makes me think about my family. So the song came out. I didn't technically get to hear it at the time that we were at the station, but I was very worried, Aaron, about her latest album because, of course, her first two albums were sad.
Sad.
She's very good with pulling, and like sorrow, and my heart is broken. And then here she'd found this cute guy and ended up getting pregnant, and of course was like renting some house for like $20,000 a month. Obviously, she was happy, and that kind of kills people's mojo. Like, you're known for your sad songs. That's what I want to hear you for. I actually have a melancholy mix on my iPod, which I can put up some songs that. Whenever because I'm the kind of person, when I'm dealing with something, when something hits me emotionally, I jump into it. I don't want to like sidestep it. I want to jump into that shit and immerse myself in it because I want to get out of that shit as quickly as possible. That's the way that I do it. I'm balls to the wall on emotion. And I can tell you are too, Aaron. I know you're very emotional. So I was really nervous about hearing this song, but I'm like, wow, it's getting a lot of play. This sounds really good. And so ultimately, as soon as I got home, I jumped on YouTube and I listened to the song, and I wanted to share a little bit of the clip with it. Of course, this song has been on heavy rotation on my iPod ever since I heard it, and I pre-ordered her latest album. But it's had me thinking a lot about my relationships, my love relationship, and kind of the last love relationship that I had. And I'm going to have some raw moments with you people here. I'm just going to I want to be vulnerable and kind of talk about my own past and the things that have happened to me. But I wanted to play a little clip of the song here for those of you who haven't heard the song, and then kind of discuss and kind of share with you part of my history and how I am, and what has brought me to where I am today, which is in a much, much better place for myself. But go ahead, Aaron.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello.
It's so interesting when I listen to that song because it makes me think about the last person that I ended up falling in love with. And I remember in the beginning of that relationship, when you watch that video, and you see how happy they were in the beginning of their relationship. And then through whatever reasons, when you listen to the song, she intimates at how, she does all this talking and how she's sorry that she's always talking about herself. And it really kind of hit home for me because that's, I grew up, and I don't care what anybody wants to say, my mother, who I will freely talk about on this show when my sister gets on here, when it's convenient for her, she wants to talk about how everybody wants to blame the parent. But then when they become an adult, they're responsible for their own actions. And I get what she says when she says that. But I'm a firm believer in family of origin damage. And when I think back to when I met this person, and, I don't know if he's, ever going to listen to this or whatever's going to happen, so I'm not going to mention him by name, but I remember how, I had come out. I used to be married, for those of you who don't know very much about me, but I used to be married, and I had no idea that I was gay. And so when I came out, it was like this whole new world to me. I felt at that point in my life like I was getting my life back, like I was, like born again, so to speak, as some people want to put it. And I went through a couple of, tumultuous, like hot, I guess is the only way to put it, just because they were very, very quick when I say hot, relationships with a couple of people. But I remember at the time that, I met this person, and looking back, I was attracted to him because he was a challenge. He was quiet. I am not quiet. And, he was a thinker, and I am a explosive, and again, this is all just family of origin shit, but I am the kind of person, and I've learned I'm trying to think of my word, but to back off from myself a little bit, to think before I speak as quickly as I did back then. And but that was my clown character, that was kind of the circus character that I had learned to become based off of the example that was presented to me growing up. And I think, that's possibly what attracted him to me, was that I was so, quote unquote, outgoing, as some would maybe look at it. But, the one thing that, you don't learn in a textbook, but you certainly learn through the example that's set for you, is how to hurt other people. Because by hurting them, you have to then earn their trust back, which is what I learned from my mother. Because that's what she would do with my dad. She would hurt him, and then he would get pissed, and then she would have to do whatever to try and earn his trust back. So then that way she could feel loved. She would deny that, anything that I'm saying is true. But regardless of however it was done, this is what I began to do to him. And I think what is so hard for me is, when I look back at the beginning of that relationship, I can still feel and experience that love that I felt with him. That look in his face, how he was excited and to be with me, and how I don't know if I want to say I was fulfilling something for him, but I felt accepted and loved in a way. Not that, my sister doesn't love me. She's, besides my sister and my daughter, that's really where I have, my closest love experiences, so to speak. But, one of the unfortunate things that I learned from my mother was spending and buying shit, so then that way you can feel better about yourself. And that's another way that you would, I would end up hurting him, is that I would go out and spend money that was intentionally, set aside for bills, all because I was trying to fill some fucking hole. But underneath all of it, I knew I was going to be pissing him off, and there was almost a subliminal thing where, if he doesn't get pissed off at me, then he must love me, type of a deal. But then if he would yell at me, I would feel like, why are you attacking me? And but it began this whole cycle of me doing this repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. And, no one in their right mind, Aaron, I'm just going to look at you when you say that, or when I say that, no one in their right mind should put up with that kind of bullshit. No one should have to be treated that way. Don't ever treat anybody that way. Because you've got to figure your shit out. It's why I have told my daughter, basically from the time she came outside of her mother, which is to, wait before you get in any kind of serious relationship and figure out who you are and what makes you happy, and have your happiness and independence as a person before you try and think that you can actually be happy with anybody else, because it's completely impossible. But I had so, and I'm going to own that, my part of it, of course. I'm not blaming, my mother entirely here, but, I had so much damage. I had no place being in a relationship. None. I shouldn't have been in a relationship. I think if anybody would have told me, hey, I think you're kind of fucked up, I would have laughingly, of course, said, of course I am. But, listening to, this latest song, it's really struck a chord in me about how I deeply hurt this person over and over again, and how they just left me emotionally. I mean, he was there physically, but he had left me emotionally, which is what I think I probably needed. I mean, in one hand, you go, well, he shouldn't have to put up with that kind of bullshit. But on the other hand, there is that part of you as well that goes, well, maybe you guys should have gone to therapy, which we did end up going to therapy. But then when we would go to therapy, it was always my fault. We were there. We were trying to fix me, which always pissed me off. But in reality, when I look back, I was the person who needed fixing. I'm not looking at him and saying that there's no, family of origin damage with him. But, I need to own what I have to own, with my shit. And frankly, I had a lot more shit to deal with than he did. And maybe, if I wouldn't have done that, the relationship, would be at a completely different point at this time, at this point in time. But for whatever reason, things did happen. And what ended up happening for me, ultimately, because I knew he was gone, emotionally, and I was trying, and this is where this song hit with me, because she, in the refrain, talks about how she's called him. She's tried calling him 1,000 times, and he's never home. And it hit me because even though I, was living with this person, I felt like I was constantly trying to call him, like physically connecting with him. That was my way of trying to call him. And it was just like hitting a brick wall over and over and over again. And I didn't get it until one day. And I realized, oh, well, he's completely cut me off here emotionally. And because of all the shit that I've pulled, and I now need, which of course is the whole circle that I grew up with, I now need to, repair that. I need to say that I'm sorry. And I always thought saying I'm sorry, was supposed to fix everything. And I think in the beginning when I would say I'm sorry, I thought that I meant it. But it's possible that I did mean it. But I think again, when you keep doing those things over and over again, I'm sorry really doesn't mean anything, because you continue to repeat that pattern. But I did reach that point where I was no longer repeating that pattern, and I was making healthier choices. I basically rarely, if ever, speak to my mother, which was one of the things that really has helped me get out of that cycle of dysfunction. But I thought when I was better, and hindsight, of course, I know that I was getting better, and I was trying to repair things within that relationship. It was too late. It was just too late. And you have to, which is ultimately what I ended up doing, because it was too hard for me. I didn't know if I could live the rest of my life trying to win that person's love back. And, I have some good friends around me who, I am fortunate to be able to speak openly kind of about my life and stuff. But what I ended up having to do, because you have to protect yourself. There's a point in your life where you have to go, okay, I've said I'm sorry. Just like she says in that song, I mean, I am, and I can say to this day, I feel horrible about my actions and the things that I did within the context of that relationship. But there's also a point when that other person needs to forgive you. And I knew I was never going to get that forgiveness. And that was really, really a hard day. And I remembered going over for months kind of thinking, well, I just need to do this to get him to forgive me or that to forgive me. And I remembered coming home from the gym one day, and you know what? I'll just throw this. This is it is very much within the context. I am a very pervy person in a relationship. I am an ass grabber. I will call you very perverted and disgusting names, piggy, and all that kind of crap. I'm just totally pervy if you're in a relationship with me, which is probably disgusting to a lot of people. But that's just the way I tell you that I love you, if I'm grabbing your butt or, asking you if you want to have sex at the mall or something. That's just kind of the way that I am, I know. But I remembered coming home from the gym one day and I was thinking to myself, you know what, I'm just going to make the moves. Like, I have to make the moves. And because there's also that whole thing that I went through as well. Like, if we're having sex, then everything's okay. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that one. But I remember thinking, I'm just going to go home and I'm going to, grab that brass ring and I'm just going to come on to him because then, I just have to keep trying to start again. I can't quit. I can't give up. And I remember coming home and I made, made some advances on him. And I remember he said a couple of things back to me. One of those things was that I was disgusting. And it was so, and I didn't tell myself. It happened, and it was so weird realizing later on that it had happened because I noticed it. I completely, at that point in time, I just disengaged. I left. And that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me as far as in a relationship before, because I've always been, balls deep, all in, no way am I ever giving up. And because I'm a feeler, I'm totally an emotional crazy house when you're in a relationship with me. But it was, I think I'd been trying for so long, and I just ended up disengaging one day, and I just left emotionally. That's what I did. I was gone. And it was so, the weirdest part about all of that for me is that was so healing for me to let go. You wouldn't think so. But it, for my heart, for my soul, for what I needed to do, because I knew at that point in my life, I'd been doing so much soul searching too. I knew that I was a good person, which was the first time in my life I had ever been able to tell myself I'm a good person. And I knew that I was making good choices, which, here are, you're in your 40s and you're finally making the choices that a 20-year-old should be making, I remembered having a moment where I realized that I wasn't, going to spend all the money that was in my checking account. That was I was in my 40s, Aaron, before that ever came to my mind, because, in my household, you've got money, you got to spend it all, every dime. And, and it's just, which, continues to create all of this chaos, which was the chaos that fed this relationship. And he was a security freak, so here I was creating all of this chaos, and then, which was kind of unintentionally meant to get him to then accept the chaos, which then meant he accepted and loved me, which was so fucked up, But that's, again, what I grew up with. That was the example that was given to me. And so ultimately, hearing this song, having me kind of recant, the relationship, love him dearly. I think the world of him. There was never a time in that relationship, even after I disengaged, that I didn't think he was the hottest motherfucker I'd ever seen in my life. There was totally that physical attraction on my side with him. But, I need to just kind of outwardly say out loud, I guess, that I'm sorry. And it was never my intention, to hurt you. I was so wrapped up into my own bullshit and my own crap, that I wished I would have met you 10 years later, because I cannot imagine, what kind of a life we could have had we met when I had basically, I mean, not saying that I'm perfect, but that I'd gone, or that I'd cleaned my act up, so to speak. So I was a lot less emotional than I was expecting, Aaron. I thought I was going to be like really a crazy person. So there's my story. Sorry for getting all emotional on all you guys, but hopefully you'll learn, and maybe this will help you to kind of figure out where you're at. You need to own your shit, which is something that I thought that I was doing, and I think I was for the most part, but I should have probably gone to therapy. And no relationship is worth losing because you can't fix your own shit. So, unless that person is shitty to you, I guess. But he was not. I mean, if things would have continued the way that they were in the very beginning, our relationship would have been like prime. So, okay, I'm going to stop with that. It's very depressing, but real, which is important. It's important to be real. I don't ever, for the rest of my life, which is one of the things that one of the reasons I want to talk about is that I don't ever want to not be real. I don't want to have some kind of false context or pretense to who I'm as a person. If you see me out in public, you better come over, and slap me in the ass or on the face or whatever it is and say, I can relate to your life. So we're going to move on. My dear friend Suzanne Krupp is in the house today with us. I met Suzanne years ago, actually. We met years ago. I don't know if you know that, but not physically. It was through Facebook that we met, which is funny.
I remember, yeah.
But Kim Valentini is a mutual friend. Kim Valentini is Smile Network. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, she is a staunch supporter of helping those who are born with like cleft palate, and raises tons of money. I mean, she's just amazing.
Yes, she is.
And helps.
Big heart.
Huge heart, and she's gorgeous too. And pays for, Smile Network actually ends up paying for these surgeries for children all across the world to get their the surgeries that they need in order to fix these cleft palates.
And by the way, it's only $500 to fix a child.
That's crazy. Can you imagine how much money it would take to fix my face? It's gonna take more than $500 to fix this. I keep wanting to ask like plastic surgeon friends, so how much would this cost? I know, to be grateful that, I don't have some kind of like debilitating facial thing that's happening with me, which has just got to be so horrible. But anyways, so Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, well. And isn't Aaron cute? Like, I have to ask everybody, he's fucking adorable, isn't he?
Yes, he's really cute.
He's really cute.
Yeah.
So the ladies, I don't know who's going to get. Do you have a girlfriend, Aaron?
I am currently single.
Oh, well, there you go,
I can
ladies.
find you somebody.
Right. They have to be alive, Suzanne. So, so we're opening up. I don't know if anybody's gone onto the page yet and has asked any questions or commented anything. Do we have any comments, Aaron? I'm not very popular.
We have a comment from Amanda. Thanks for listening, but it wasn't a question
for
Suzanne yet.
Okay. And so if you've got any questions that you want to ask for Suzanne, because we're just going to break into a conversation about how Suzanne became, aware of her sixth sense. So go on to the podcast page and go into the comment section and ask your question. And if anybody asks a question, then we will answer it. Otherwise, we're just going to break into this conversation and continue to speak. So Suzanne, and I know this story, okay, because we're friends. And what I love about Suzanne, first of all, she and I live on completely different time schedules. So she's going to bed when I'm getting up. And I think we probably should just schedule our calls at like about 3 o'clock in the morning. That's usually when we should talk, because you're usually just going to bed.
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm just getting up because I got to get my ass to the gym. But the phone rings and I see it's Suzanne. And sometimes I'm like, because whenever she calls me, It's usually 2 hours on the phone, so I have to ask myself, do I have 2 hours? And then I'm like, oh, I'll have to call her back later. Or yes, I've got 2 hours to discuss what's going on. But it's such a joy. You really are. You're such a joy to have as a friend.
Oh, thank you.
And but I think people are fascinated with how do you realize that you have this gift, which is what it is. You probably didn't think at the time that it was a gift. So what happened, when you look back, what began to happen that then led you to understand that you have this gift?
I don't know the exact moment, but
in generalities.
I remember that.
That's the key here, by the way. I love to generalize, so you can generalize anything here, and you're never in trouble.
Okay, good. I would lose my keys, and I'd start seeing in my head where my keys were.
I need that power. My keys and my wallet, I lose them every day in my phone. I'm not kidding you. So you would see them in your head, and they would be there.
Yes, I would start seeing where things were, and I would get a sense of people around me. And then I had a dream one night where I woke up at 3 a.m. And two of my best friends, one her mother and the other her brother, were talking to me. And they gave me this information. And I said, well, I won't remember this in the morning. And they said, we'll be there to remind you. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm crazy.
Okay, so let's just stop a second. So they were talking to you. So you were in bed.
I was in bed.
And you opened your eyes, and they were standing there.
No,
they were floating above you?
No, they were in my head.
They were in your head.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't wrap my head around that.
I know, I can't either.
Right. I'm just trying to help our listeners gain kind of an understanding.
I don't even know how I can explain it.
Sure. No, it's fine.
But it was so real.
Right.
And so I called my friend Becky, and I said to her, your brother came to me, and she said, oh, you're full of shit. And then I called my friend Vicky, and she said, oh, I know that was my mother because she said things to me that there's no way you would have known.
Right.
And that's how it started. And I thought, wow.
And how old were you at this point?
Well, that's the point. I was, 44, 45, and I'm thinking, why is this happening now?
Okay, let's stop the bus. Seriously, you were 40, how old?
44, 45.
45. Now, Suzanne, I should know this because I swear to God, I'm sure you've told me this before. I totally thought you were my age because that's my age.
Oh.
So I'm thinking to myself, so this is very recent for you.
No.
Okay.
Ross.
I totally thought you were my age.
Are you going to make me say my age?
No. I won't. But that's where I was just kind of like,
anyways. But,
yeah. So, but even if, let's just say, for example, and you know what, I'm gay, so I can always ask women their age. But I'm just going to say, let's say that happened 10 years ago. Okay. Okay. Laugh away. That still, to me, from a lifespan perspective, is still very recent. I was totally thinking that you knew this in your 20s.
No.
Okay.
I knew things, but I thought everybody knew things. You don't realize that other people don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even when I was little, I saw things floating in my room, but I just got under the covers and didn't say anything. And I had a staffing service, and I would walk in. I was doing sales, and I would walk into an office, and I'd see sparks in the air, and I realized it would be a big account. Or my employees would say, how did you know that? Or how did you know we needed to do this or this? And I thought, what are they talking about? How
did you know we needed more coffee creamer? I need you at my house because my daughter keeps forgetting to get it anyways.
So, and it wasn't actually until the dead people showed up that I realized, whoa, something's happening here.
Right, because you knew when you saw those people in your head,
and I also
when they
saw
showed
them
up,
floating in my room too. Dark figures floating in my room.
Right, and did that scare you?
Yeah, it scared the crap out of me.
Right, because I can only imagine. I would think my sister had roofied me or something, because she would do that to me.
Had what?
Haven't you heard of roofied me, drugged me?
Oh.
Yeah, she's crazy like that. She would totally try and pull my. Get me all scared. But anyway, so you saw these things floating around your room. And what do you think when that happens?
holy crap.
Holy shit. Right. Like,
Yeah.
I need to be on, I don't know, I try to think of some kind of drug I should be on. Did you think you were going crazy? Did you go to the doctor?
Well, first of all, I called the police. Because,
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's the
because-
last thing I would ever do is
Because
call the
my
police.
doorbell kept going off and it wouldn't stop going off, and I got really scared. And I had just gone to May Bodine, Echo Bodine's mother, and she told me that I was a medium. And I thought she meant like small, medium, large. I didn't realize she meant like medium. And
Oh my God, Suzanne, you and I are totally the same person because I would think the same thing. What do you mean? I'm a 30 waist.
And then I ended up calling her after the reading, and I said, it's really weird, but like my lights are flashing. I feel like someone's talking to me. And she said, I told you you're a medium. Like, as in medium, people are talking to you. And I'm like,
You're like Patricia Arquette, but different.
yeah. So this man came to my door. It was like 3 a.m, this policeman. And I said, well, I don't know. This is weird, but somebody told me I'm a medium and my doorbell won't stop going off. And he just stood there. He didn't even know what to say. But he came in and he said, well, it's an old doorbell. I'll disconnect it. So he disconnected and he laughed, gave me a weird look. And then my oven buzzer started going off. And that really creeped me out. That still goes off.
Right.
But not like the doorbell.
It's like the bread is done or the cookies are done. But anybody that knows you don't bake.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no cookies in the
Or
oven.
cook.
Right, exactly. Right. How crazy is that?
I know.
Now, I remember when Eleanor Mondale passed away, and because Pam and I are friends, and I remember I was meeting with Pam, and you called. Pam and I were actually getting together. I think we were having coffee or whatever. And
I called Pam.
You called Pam.
Yeah.
Yep. And because Eleanor's pets were very important to her. I don't know if you remember any of this. You don't even know that I know this information. I can see the fear in your eyes.
I'm like, should I be talking
Right.
about this?
No. And
I don't talk about other people's readings.
No. Well,
so.
I do. So I don't have the professional courtesies that you do. And but I remembered, and the reason I bring this up because I think people would find this very fascinating. Because as soon when Pam told me this, I'm like, oh my God, that totally makes sense. And but you had seen Eleanor, and she was floating above you with her pets. Do you remember this?
No.
And you call Pam, and I'm only laughing because it's not funny,
I can't
but
remember
because
any.
it's so, to me, it shows to me, and it should show to everyone, like, what an amazing heart you have. Because you called her because you wanted Pam to know that Eleanor was okay and that she was happy because she was with her pets. She was with her animals. And that just like warmed my heart because, of course she just died of a horrible, passed away, of that horrible disease.
Yes.
And so, I just thought that was lovely that you called Pam to let her know that Eleanor was okay. And I was like, because again, I remembered how much her dogs meant to her.
She had all sorts of animals.
Well, I know she did,
horse,
but-
I've talked to her horse.
Right. So anyway, but that was,
Wow, I don't remember.
I don't know why I brought that up. I brought it up for some weird reason.
And
But-
that's the thing. I can't remember readings because you get the
It's like an
information-
out-of-body experience. It
Well,
kinda,
yeah, and you let it go, and so
Right.
it's like someone's talking through you, so you don't
Right.
really know what you said. Sometimes you
I could have
remember
just
it.
made some shit up and you would not even know it
I
now,
know.
would you?
I know.
So now, Suzanne actually, and I think this is funny, I have a spirit guide named Miriam,
Miriam, yeah.
who I absolutely just love that. I mean, I think it's hilarious.
You picked her up at the JCC or something.
Right, well, my ex-wife used to work at the JCC. And so I think that is the coolest thing, that I've got this, old Jewish woman who's my spirit guide.
Hey, she's insulted when you say old.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miriam. I'm sorry about that. So you started along this path, and because at the time that all this was going on, you had a business.
Right.
You had a staffing business,
Yes.
an executive search firm. I
Yes.
apologize. And it's kind of the same thing in my world.
Yes.
I bastardize everything. And then, so how do you make that leap, Suzanne? Because you're like me. You jump off, you basically jumped off a cliff. And you're like, I'm going to, I'm going to, inspire people. I want people to, have that connection, be able to, speak to the loved ones that have passed on and help other people kind of get that. Because that's, to me, part of what you do. You help people get peace, and connect the dots. You help people connect those dots. How do you make that decision to do that? Because so many people are afraid to do it.
I didn't really make the decision. I don't know. All of a sudden it came out of my mouth.
I love it when you do this, by the way. Whenever we're together, you always do this.
Oh, this helps me to concentrate. That's why I do that, yeah.
She scribbles on a piece of paper. So.
No, I all of a sudden one day just said to a client, I'm closing my business. And she said, okay. And my clients knew that I had this ability. And then I went home I was thinking about it and I thought, what did I just do? I mean, I'm really successful here. Why am I? And so I called her back the next day and I said, I made a mistake. I'm staying open. And then I heard again myself saying, no, you're not. And I called her back. I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm closing my business.
Oh my God. I love that. I love that.
And so, by the time I did that, people really thought I was probably crazy. You know what I mean? I'm closing my staffing business to talk to dead people.
Right. So if somebody's thinking about having, because there's so many preconceived notions / misconceptions about what it is to be a psychic, what it is to receive a reading. And my joke has always been, there's that psychic that's right on Hennepin right before you in Uptown.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so it's been my joke for years. Oh, I'm sure she just saw me drive by again and knew, he's not coming by today. It's just that joke. But I think that's a reality for some people. I think some people have that notion that if you're a psychic, that you just know everything. And that's been one of the I never thought that, but I think that's one of the enlightening moments that I've had through our friendship is that that's not how it goes. You don't see everything, you don't experience everything. So tell us or explain to people when you're doing a reading, what are some of the things that because obviously anybody can, reach out to you. Suzanne Krupp is your website.
Correct? Yep.
So they can check that out and I'll put that on the podcast. So when someone's thinking about getting a reading, what are the things that they should prepare for?
Usually the night before the reading, I have them say a prayer for those people they want to talk to. Mm-hmm. And then ask them by name, like mom, dad, whoever. Please come through for Suzanne tomorrow. Because otherwise you get people that you grew up with that have passed away, your neighbors down the street come through,
right.
Anybody, they get excited, they want to talk. So I like to be very specific. And then I have them write a series of questions down in order of importance and have them be specific with the questions because I just don't want to. I realize that if I just talk, they get information they don't need. So I want to get to really specific questions. And what I do is they ask me the question, I stop and ask my spirit guide, Sophia, who then connects with their spirit guide, and then I get the answer back.
Right, and I think the point behind you asking for them to mention specific people is because, and you just answered that, because there's people like, well, I shouldn't have to tell you, who it is. And it's like, no, the reason that I want you is because there's going to be other people who are going to be coming through. Mm-hmm. And this is your time. I don't have 8 hours to spend with you. I've got other people to talk to. And so you need to let me know who and what, so that way we can get down to business. And then I can let you know, what I'm hearing. And I think it's so interesting. Now, when did you know that your spirit guide was Sophia? How did that happen? Do you remember when that happened?
Yes. Well, it wasn't Sophia to begin with. To begin with, it was a rabbi in vaudeville.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I know, isn't that crazy?
And I think it's funny that, that your spirit guide was a man and that mine is a woman. You would just assume that your spirit guide would be of the same sex.
Yeah, and you have all sorts of different spirit guides, but my main spirit guide, and I think his name was John or something, and actually somebody knew him when I gave them their name. He
Right.
said, "Oh, I know who he is."
Right.
And then I had a spirit guide that came in. Her name was Gloria when I really actually started doing readings, and she was really, really strong. And then after my dad passed away, I got an even higher, stronger guide. She had gold all around her. Her name is Sophia. And she's a really, really strong guide. And so I don't know how I knew. I just knew.
Right. May I ask out of curiosity, I don't know if you know the answer to this, does Aaron have a spirit guide?
Everybody has spirit guides.
Okay. Do you know what his spirit guide's name is? Do you know anything? Can you see anything? When you look at Aaron, can you see anything? He has to allow you to answer that. You have to answer that.
You know what?
No confidentiality here.
I see aura colors around him.
Are they
see
pink?
Blue.
Oh.
No, they're blue and yellow, and I almost want to cry when I look at him because he has such a kind heart.
I know, doesn't he?
Oh,
You
my
can just
God.
totally tell that about him. He's such a nice guy.
A kind soul.
Yep.
Thank you.
A kind
Yep.
soul.
No, I want any woman you date has to go through me because I want her to know she fucks with you. She's fucking with me.
He's going to be a great husband.
Hmm. And a dad, too. Think about the kids that are
he
going to
is
come out
gonna
of that
have
one.
kids.
Right.
Yes.
Hmm. Thank you.
How old are you? Are you like 24 or
I'm 27.
27? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I'm going to
isn't he?
fix you up.
All right.
I'm really good at that.
She is. She actually is.
I am really good at that.
So your spirit guide's name is Suzanne or is Sophia, and she's covered in gold. Like that's so
Yeah.
fascinating to me. It's almost like she's a deity.
Yeah. She's just, she almost is just like, she almost doesn't look real, but she is real. I think spirit guides, and this is what I've been told, are people that you've been in with past lives that are watching over you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And there's some people on earth that know that they've been spirit guides before for other people.
Really?
Yeah. I know
that's fascinating.
I know.
So I'm the black sheep in my family. I think we've already determined all of that. So you're a psychic. How does your family respond to this?
Huh? That's a response. I mean, to go and tell your parents, okay, I am selling my business because I'm going to talk to dead people.
Right.
It's like, it's hard.
Well,
Really
especially
hard.
because your parents at that point are older,
They're old. Yep.
And as we all know, as you get older, you're more just set in your thinking and no risk,
Yeah.
no change. Like keep things, if something's working, don't fix it, don't change.
Yeah.
And, and you were very successful. I feel horrible even saying this, but I'm just going to say it. And I know I'm generalizing everything when I say this. So everybody hate on me if you want to. Because my wife worked at the Jewish Community Center. Mm-hmm. I'm familiar with the staunch work ethic and the achievement of a success. Mm-hmm. And the word that just keeps going round and round in my is achievement, 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 success, success. So leaving your business and, that's almost like, what am I going to tell all my friends now my daughter's doing?
Wow. It's so weird. I almost want to cry. It's so weird that you picked up on that. But
I remember all of that when Trisha worked there, and it was like craziness. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you're in your mid 40s, you've got a successful business, you're a daughter that you know what? I'm just going to be honest. We've got a daughter that we're proud of. You know what I mean? She's working, she's got this business, and now she's quitting to be a psychic. How am I going to tell, Lois when I see her what
Yeah,
Suzanne's doing when
exactly.
she asks?
Exactly.
And so did that create a rift with you and your parents? Am I
Well,
able to ask that? Or you don't have to answer something. I like to tear people's skin
never
off and say deal with it.
I don't know if my parents were ever really proud of me anyways. You
Right.
know, I was kind of the black sheep too.
Right.
But
That's probably why we get along.
yes, exactly. But
Are your parents still alive?
no, they're gone.
Okay.
But I said to the other side, if you want me to do this, please don't make a fool out of me. Make me really good at this, okay?
Right. Make me the
Because-
biggest fucking kick-ass one so that way I can say nana to everybody,
Yes,
right?
because
right.
I don't want to be a psychic on the street. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's and
And you do, and I'm gonna pimp you because I know through, because we're friends, not that you've divulged anything proprietary. I want to make it sound like you're the government, but you do readings for some pretty heavy kick-ass people.
yeah, I do.
So that is something to be extremely proud of.
Oh, thank you.
That you have achieved that level of success, that people on a very high level, all across the world, even Suzanne,
Yep.
come to you repeatedly, not just once, but repeatedly.
Yeah.
So that is huge for you, and I hope you get, that's how good you are, and that you made the right choice.
Oh, thank you, Ross.
Because I think you're an
Sweet
amazing
of you.
person. Oh,
That's so sweet. Thank you.
no problem. No problem.
I'm gonna start crying.
No, don't do that. I already did the crying for today. So when people are going to be doing this reading, and they want to ask for specific people, I know that when you and I did it, I don't think that I specifically wanted. I know that I wanted to have a conversation with my grandmother, who I was very close to, who's the inspiration for
isn't
everything.
She Ellen or Helen? or
Ellen.
something?
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna and but then of course my dad ended up coming through, which was whatever.
Oh yeah, when we did Happy Hour with the dad. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that folks should probably know about. We did an event together a couple months ago called Happy Hour with the Dead, and it was so funny because Suzanne was trying to take care of me, like, what are you going to be making, and where are you going to be serving this, and all this kind of stuff. And I knew from the outset people weren't going to give a shit. I could serve caviar or I could serve Doritos, and ain't nobody going to give a shit what I'm saying or what I'm doing, because everybody was going to be fixated on Suzanne, and that's exactly what happened. Although somebody thought I served too many potatoes. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember that
Yeah,
comment? Because
yeah.
Suzanne wanted to do a questionnaire. Of course,
Boy,
I'm
that food looks so good.
Oh, it was good,
crap.
but you were too busy, reading people, answering their questions. But but we've been talking about doing another one.
Yep.
That would be less people. Probably around a dozen people.
Mm-hmm.
I would serve a little bit what I would say better food, so to speak. It's not going to be some sit down thing, because people, even when you're not getting a reading, other people are fascinated and want to witness you giving someone else a reading. I think that there's something that people learn through that experience in watching you do what it is that you do, because what you do, like, not many people can do.
Everybody has this ability.
Oh, I don't want to think about that. That's just one more thing I have to think about channeling in my world. I don't want to have to do that.
But you know what an intuition is, and everybody has an intuition, and that's part of it. I believe an intuition is really your people on the other side talking to you, giving you information.
And I don't look at it like that. I look at that's the one thing. I had a really good therapist, and the one I probably should have continued to go through. But I felt like I was healthy, after all. But that was the one thing I learned from him, which was, you have those aha moments in your life. And I've really stuck with that since I knew him, which was trusting my gut. He kept telling me, trust your gut. Learn to listen to that voice that you listened to when you were young. But he said, as we get older, we're told, oh, that's just, you're just second guessing yourself. Don't, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm a huge supporter. And if something doesn't feel right, like, that's the universe. That's the way he would explain it to me, which I'm totally fine with that. He's like, that's the universe telling you something's wrong.
Exactly. That's exactly
and
right.
And listen to it. Trust it. And the more you begin to trust it, the more, it will guide you. And I have to be honest, it has never failed me. Like, and good or bad. I'm not just saying the universe, like if you meet someone and, you get a joyous feeling, when you've met them, accept it. Go with it, because that's the universe giving you a gift.
Exactly.
And so I completely agree with what you're saying. You've got to learn to kind of trust that intuition. Mm-hmm. So that's as intuitive as I'm ever going to get or want to get. I've got cookies to make, Suzanne, seriously. I'll make cookies. I'll keep you alive. And then you can just tell me what's going on and what Miriam wants me to know. Does that work?
Yes, but I want nothing but sugar because, I'm this whole 30 diet.
Oh, right. Suzanne is just starting this diet thing. She called me the other day. It was so hilarious. She calls me and she's like, so I have these chicken tenders and I don't know how to cook chicken tenders. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the kind of chicken tenders I eat, which are from, KFC, which why are all the KFCs closing? I have to now I feel like I got to drive 30 minutes to the closest KFC. We're getting Popeyes all over the place and Popeyes is delicious. Popeyes. Right. You've seen the look on Aaron's face. It was just like somebody handed him, I don't know what, like $1,000. Like, I love Popeyes. Popeyes is good, actually. Their spicy chicken tenders are good.
So good.
But I still love KFC and those potato wedges. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, Suzanne doesn't cook. She has chicken, tenders on her. How is she going to fucking deep fry chicken tenders, And how is this part of your clean eating diet?
Deep fry.
But it turned out that they were just cut up, boneless, skinless pieces of chicken.
Yes, and I made them yesterday, and they were delicious.
Right, you just sautéed them in some oil, which is all you have to do, just medium heat.
With onions and vegetables.
Oh, that sounds delicious, right.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, and that's all you need. Don't even put a tortilla around it. Limit your carbs.
I wrapped it in lettuce.
Oh, well, what a great idea. Yeah, sure. That would work. That would actually be very delicious. That crunch of the lettuce would be the cold lettuce would be really good.
It was to die for.
It sounds like it. See, now you need to get on Instagram and then take pictures of your food and then put that shit out there. But I'm very proud of you. The house didn't burn down.
The house didn't burn down, and I even made salmon, although I still need a good recipe for salmon.
My friend Abby has a very good recipe for salmon. I don't know what it is that she does, but she keeps telling me I need to make it, and I keep going, Abby, I don't eat seafood. So
I love seafood.
Outside of I'll eat the fish and chips at Yum.
Oh, Yum has the best food.
They do, but they're fish and chips because I'm a creature of habit, because I barely, I live, of course, over in basically Wisconsin. And so, whenever I do get over there, I think if I lived over here, I would be going there more often. Mm-hmm. Patty's wonderful.
I love Patty.
And
she's actually cousin.
Is she really?
Yeah.
I just love that restaurant.
Our grandfathers were brothers, I believe.
Oh, crazy. That's so wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so whenever I finally do go over there, I'm like, I just want the fish and chips because it's so delicious, and it's the only time I'll eat fish. Now,
I didn't know they had fish and chips.
I'll eat oysters. I love oysters, and I love calamari, preferably deep fried.
Yeah.
But the calamari at Chino Latino is really good, and they don't deep fry it. They do something.
I can't eat
with
that.
salt and jalapeno. Do you like calamari?
Oh, yeah. I love all sorts of seafood.
Oh, yeah?
The shrimp at Popeyes is really good, too.
I like deep fried shrimp. I have to try that out. I think Popeyes is taking over for KFC, and I don't understand why that is. Because wherever a KFC is closed, a Popeyes is open. And I'm thinking, well, it's kind of the same thing. Kinda. I'm generalizing again. Have you ever had Popeyes?
No, no.
You're missing out.
Yeah, deep fried food, man. That's just like the jam.
You know
and their
what?
red beans and rice. Damn,
Deep
it's
fried
good.
food doesn't do me well.
Oh, I'm not supposed to eat it, but I do every once in a while.
Oh.
So, anyway.
Well, you look good, so
I
it's
know
doing
I do.
something for you.
Yeah. So let's get back to this. As far as getting a reading. So what would you say if someone is thinking, I'd like to get a reader, I'd like to find something, I'd like to speak with Suzanne about XYZ. Are there certain things that people shouldn't come to you to get readings for? Like, am I going to get pregnant next year? Or
No,
am
those
I
are
going to
good
find a
questions.
husband?
No, I get those questions all the time. What I don't answer is when am I going to die, or when is my dad going to die, or when
When is Aaron going to die?
Shut up. He's got a very long
He's
time.
going to die in that plane crash, remember? And then we're going to eat him.
And in the hot dogs. He's gonna end up in the
Yes,
hot dogs.
exactly. I'm still all about the cannibalism. I'm a huge cannibal. Right. So, no, that's actually very interesting. Did you have to make that decision based on people asking you that question? Or did you just know people were going to ask it and you're like, I just have to, let you know, don't ever ask me that question. Do you know? Would you know that information?
No, not really.
Okay.
I can tell if someone's going to have a long life or, but no, not really because, no, I have no idea. I don't want to know.
Right.
I don't care to know.
So I'm telling everybody that I'm going to live to 120. Is that a possibility for me?
I'm not telling you that. I have no idea.
My daughter's like,
The way
what am I supposed to do with you when you're that old? I'm like, I took care of you for
Put me
so
in a
long.
corner.
I'm like, you're going to wipe my ass. And if I continue to go to the gym, as long as I can get up and walk around, even if I'm mumbling about stupid stuff and don't make any sense, I want to live as long as possible. Go out with a bang. In a good way, that is, of course. So you don't tell people when they're going to pass away. And is that the only kind of no-no?
I to be honest with you, I don't really get any bad news because all the news I get, all the information that I get for somebody is something to help them to move on with their life.
So have you ever had to tell someone they should get a nose job? Because that would probably help some people move on with their life, wouldn't it? That's supposed to be funny.
I don't even know what to say to that.
You just said that, and that popped into my head. That was Miriam telling me to ask you that question. That was
Miriam.
my
Cut it
spirit
out,
guide,
Miriam.
right? No, it's my stupid humor. You're like,
I
I
don't know
just
what to
hear
say
things
that.
to tell people to help them move on with their life. I'm thinking, well, some people to move on, they should get a nose job, shouldn't they? Or a facelift.
No, are you trying to tell me something?
No, you don't have a big nose. You don't have a big nose. I'm kind of a fan of a big nose. I don't know why it is, but
I don't
I
know.
like-
Does a big nose mean like big something else or
Mm,
no?
well, not really on women. I have a tendency with and I'm this is another thing that I tell people is I'm a little predatory, but not predatory as far as 18-year-olds. If a guy is like 5'7" or shorter, I'm all over that. Like he could be. I mean, don't you find that in certain people? We're totally not talking about what we should be here, but let's just talk about it. You can be mediocre looking, but if you're under like 5'7", if you're shorter than me, like let's even go 5'8", because I'm 5'10". So if you're like 5'8" or shorter, I'm all over that. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like there's some voodoo shit that gets thrown into the air as soon as I look at you.
And maybe it makes you feel like, you're taller than them, so it gives you, a feeling of feeling good or
domination. That's what it
Exactly.
says.
Yeah.
I'm a predator.
I didn't wanna
and
say
I'm going to
that,
eat
but-
you alive. That's what it says. So yeah, and they have a tendency.
there's something a little creepy about
No,
that.
I'm always. Okay, so we have a couple questions. I'm like, doesn't anybody listen to me? Because I'm talking about being a predatory boyfriend. See, I'm predatory and I'm pervy. You can count on those things with me.
Yes, we know that.
Exactly. So, right, I'll have to set up a
But you have a
Facebook
big
page for that.
heart.
I do. See, I'm loving, but I still want to tell you
And by
that I
the-
want to like attack you at the mall. Like
But you know
that's
what?
kind
I
of the
wanna-
same thing,
I
isn't
do
it?
want to tell you that I hope this person you were talking about forgives you
I think
because forgiveness is really important.
so important. And I forgave myself. That was
Yes,
part
you
of that
have
whole
to.
disengagement thing.
You have to
I had to
because
forgive
family
myself.
And the way you grow up is
Right.
is huge. And
It
and
is.
Ross, it doesn't matter what age you figure it out. You figured it out.
Right, you and I talked about that. At
Yeah.
least you're not dead. When you had your aha moment that we talked about, which I will
Yeah.
not disclose, obviously.
I can't remember which one we're talking about.
Well, right, I suppose. I've known you long enough. So we've got a couple questions. Okay, so our first question, Aaron, is going to be our first question is from
It's from Amanda.
Amanda. Okay, I think I know who that is. Don't say her last name, unless it says, does it say it?
Well, it does say it.
But don't say that out loud. I
Okay.
just am asking. Okay,
Yeah.
and what's her question?
Her close friend Carl passed away in 2006, and she just wants to know how he is.
Okay, well, first of all, it's really hard for me to figure out if I'm not actually talking to the person.
Okay.
But I get that he has a really good sense of humor and he's doing great, is what I'm hearing. And also, I don't know if you can ask her, did he have at one point in his life lighter colored hair? Can you ask her?
Well, she must be listening. Let's see.
Okay. Or if she knows who the teller man with the lighter colored hair, or I want to say it had a red tinge in it or something, hair around her.
So there's a man around her that has lighter colored hair with like a red. He's like a light ginger.
Yeah.
He's a light ginger.
A brownish red
Like
hair.
me.
She
like
said,
mine.
yes, he did.
Oh,
Yeah.
hooray.
Yeah.
Look at you, Suzanne. You're amazing.
And yes, and he's been in her room, as a matter of fact, standing in her room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amanda, does that creep you out to hear that
I was
he's in
gonna
your
say
room?
That's a little creepy, but
She said, around me?
Uh-huh.
you know what? I get people's fathers in the shower with me, giving me information, and that's weird.
I'm assuming though that when something like that happens, see, we want to sexualize everything. I want to sexualize everything.
Yeah, there's nothing sexual about it.
But there's nothing sexual about it for them.
No,
You know, they're
nothing.
just like, hey,
they see everything. They don't care.
Right. Yeah, they're just like, it's like a surgeon.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they just turn all that off. It's like,
But
whatever.
the first time it happened, it's like,
Oh
oh my God.
Right.
I have no
I haven't
privacy.
waxed. Okay.
I've got
What's
no privacy.
right? Exactly. So what's our? Yeah, I wouldn't like that at all. So what's our next question, Aaron?
There's just, there was kind of a goofy one from Jason, but that involved when he will die. And you said, hopefully not soon, right? Did you meet Jason downstairs?
What are you talking about?
Oh, Jason. Oh, was he just
Jason,
trying to
who
be an
works here.
ass?
He's just being goofy.
Oh, he would do that.
Am
I
I,
already gave him a reading.
am I the greatest person alive, or will I die before I turn 50?
You're gonna let me answer that. You're gonna die before you turn 50.
You're the greatest person
I'm a psychic.
alive.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
I gave him a reading when I was here because I kept hearing B around him, and he said, "Oh, this is my grandmother. We called her B."
Oh, that's not Jason.
Oh,
And now because you've said Jason, now of course I'm completely
Sean?
John or Sean.
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 oh,
Yeah, that was
Sean.
That was
yeah,
Sean.
Sean. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. our patriarch, Sean Bernard.
Yeah,
Here.
he had his grandmother was haunting me this morning.
That's so wild. So are you at all like the Long Island Medium, which I loved her show?
Yeah, it's the same. We're all
Do
the
you
same.
like run up to people and go, "Oh my God, like I
know-
know that you're picking up meat at Cub, but you just need to know." Blah, 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 blah.
You know what? I used to do that, and Kim Valentini, like we
Oh my God, I just want to imagine what Kim would say.
we were at a restaurant once, and the owner came and sat down at the table with us, and Pam Mondel was there too, and I started blurting out stuff, and they were like trying to hide under the table, and but I couldn't help it. I was hearing all this stuff. I mean, he ended up sitting there for like 45 minutes. I gave him a whole reading, but for the people around me, it's really embarrassing. And
Well, right, because they're there because they want to spend time with you, and I think again that says so much about your heart that you would just do someone do a reading.
well, because it's like
on the
having
spot.
to pee. If you can't get it out, it's like I
have to
gotta
pee right now. I really do. I'm not joking. I really do. But
if you can't get it out, it's really bothersome. Like
it is.
when
It's slightly irritating,
yes,
especially if you have a urinary tract infection.
exactly.
That happened to me the other day. See, this is where I offshoot. So I did CrossFit a week ago. I don't think we talked about this. Did I talk about CrossFit when I was here last time?
No.
Had I done it?
Nope.
So my daughter used to work at Noodles, and the guy who owned CrossFit in Woodbury, which there's actually two of them in Woodbury, but he owns one of them, and he would always come in, and so he talked to my daughter about having me come in and try CrossFit because she had told him that I was working out and stuff. So I went in and did CrossFit. Have either one? I know your answer, Suzanne.
No,
You've
I
never done
haven't.
CrossFit. Okay, and I was just saying that to be joking. I wasn't
know.
like.
Well, I know it's obvious.
So I went in and I somewhat thought that I had an idea. I've watched the CrossFit Games on ESPN, and Rich Fronin, who has won every time I've seen it. I mean, he's hot, body, like killer body. So I'm like, and winter's
Yeah,
here,
but you're getting
technically
there,
in my
too.
world.
Holy crap. You're
So,
looking good.
I'm like, I thought, well, maybe it'd be fun to do CrossFit at night. That'll kind of get me out of the house at night because I have a tendency to hibernate. So, I reached out to him and like, okay, I'd like to give this a try. So I went in last Saturday and did CrossFit. And there's this thing like first of all, we had to go over the 3 exercises that I had to do. And you have to tell me like when are we at an hour?
We're at 75 minutes.
Oh, okay. So then I'll say this and then we're going to have to go because I don't want to go way over. But I think this is a very interesting story, and it will also talk about what a hypochondriac I am. So I only had to do 3 exercises. We had to go over each exercise very carefully because he wanted to make sure that I was doing them properly. So all I had to do were box jumps, and everything that he had there, and this is just CrossFit Woodbury. I mean, you can find them online. Guy was super, super nice. He, I think it's just him that owns it, or maybe it's him and his son. And now you guys know what I look like. Okay, I'm fit.
You are.
Not that anyone there wasn't, I mean, they were all fit too, but I was so intimidated. Like I was totally the outsider there. It was so kind of weird feeling. Of course, I was, spandex leggings on, it's how I roll when I go out. I just love doing that kind of shit just to push people's buttons. But I look good. I mean, I've got a nice ass, so why not show it off?
You do. You do.
And anyway, so and everything that he had there was the girls' way, there was the boys' way, and then there was the Olympic way. So it was like the box that you would jump on for the box jump. It was like there was the girls' height, there was the boys' height, and then there was the Olympic height. And I'm showing you guys, kind of way. And then there were like lines up on the wall because you had to go down with the squat. And oh my God, I don't know how many times I squatted. No wonder my ass looks so fantastic right now. But I had to like squat down, and it was funny because he put a medicine ball on the floor so that way I could learn how low I needed to squat down. And my problem was I wasn't spreading my legs wide enough. So I had to figure out, according to him, and it was all about, because he took special classes on how to squat, was like the weirdest thing. Anyway, so, but then he would take the medicine ball. But then once you're done squatting, then you like go up and you literally have to throw your medicine ball up at one of these lines. And of course, there's the girl line. And every fucking exercise, once he showed me how to do it, he'd go, now, which way are you going to go? You going to use the girls' way or the boys' way? And I was like, the second time I said, listen, motherfucker, I'm using the boys or the Olympic. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did, okay? Yeah, I totally did it, Aaron. And so I had to do box jumps, and then I had to do these squat things, and then you start out with burpees. You know what a burpee is?
No, I know.
Hell is what a burpee is. You know what a burpee is?
Yeah.
They're horrible.
What's a burpee?
You go down, you literally stand, and then you go down to a push-up, but then you go all the way down to the floor, and then you jump back up and throw your arms up in the air. And you just repeat that over and over again.
That's not something I would ever
So
do.
I had to do 5 burpees, and then I had to do 7 box jumps, and then I had to do 9 of these squat, and then throw the medicine ball up. Oh, and what medicine ball do you want? Do you want the girl medicine ball or the boy medicine ball? And I'm like, bitch, I want the boy. I mean, seriously, don't fucking push me. And I was, and I'm fit. So I was thinking, I'm going to crush this. And you do it, and you literally turn around and you do it again. You have to do that set of 3 all over again. And he's like, I'm going to set the timer for 11 minutes.
You think he was trying to insult you or something?
Oh, God, no. No, because CrossFit, I think CrossFit, and I've heard this in kind of circles before, that CrossFit is kind of, I'm using this word very generally, don't hate on me, is like a cult. You know, it's like people that get into CrossFit, like they're really fucking into CrossFit. They're like, oh, I do this and I do this and I do this. And I can see that because it is like someone grabs your soul out of your body and just throws it on the ground and stomps on it. And then it's like, okay, now give me 5 more. It is so fucking intense. But I love that. Like, I can see why not many people do it because it is so intense. You know, you really have to dig deep, deep down into your soul and to just get and do the things you've got to do in that specified amount of time because you've got like so many minutes. And I ended up doing 5.5 full sets of it. He never told me if he was impressed, which pissed me off. I wanted to know, like, is that normal? You know, I wanted some kind of validation when I was done.
If you don't get it done in the amount of time, does it like swear at you or does it?
Well, you do. Of course, you've got the burpee and then the box jump, and then again, I forget what it's called. And then once you do that set of 3, you know what I mean? Then you just start it all over again, and you keep doing that until the 11 minutes is done.
Oh, I get it.
That's how you do it.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah. And there's like a bunch of different workouts that they had all over the floor or whatever, or on the big white, dry erase board. So I did those 5 and again thought that I was going to die. But the great thing that I loved about it, and I would highly recommend for anybody who is a worrier. I am a worrier. Worry about everything, constantly thinking. As soon as I wake up in the morning, my mind is like running 1,000,000 miles a minute. It's probably why I just like crash at the end of the day. But what's so cool about it, too, is that for an hour, because those classes really are an hour, you're so tied up into living and just, like, not dying that you push everything that's in your mind out. You literally can't think about anything because you're just trying to breathe, and to not fall over. So I recommend it.
It sounds great, actually.
I really do. I totally recommend it. But the problem that I had was this, and I don't know what's going on. I ended up hurting. We were moving, and we had that lift gate, and everybody's in the house, and I'm not going to ask for help. I don't ever ask for help. I hate asking for help. So I ended up flipping open the lift gate, and it landed on my foot. And so the joint before my big toe comes out on I always want to say my passenger side, my left side. So stupid. So I did something. I think it was probably the box jumps. So 2 days later, I couldn't walk, because my foot was hurting so bad. So I was having to take all kinds of pills. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a pill popper, so I have no problems taking pills. And then just trying to stretch my foot because it was kind of like I forget what it is because I had that about a year ago too with my foot. I forget what that whole thing is called where you need to stretch your foot out and that tendon gets tight. You're not old enough, Aaron, to know this.
I have no idea.
Anyway, well, I dealt with that. I like some foot issues. And this is where I become a hypochondriac, which is where I was going to go with this, is because whenever I get like a cough, a weird cough that won't go away. My dad died of lung cancer. That's how we found out he had lung cancer because he was got this weird cough and it wouldn't go away.
Yeah, but you're not going to get that.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So I'm never going to worry again about that. But those are things like I think, this happens to me and then I can't go to the gym, which pisses me off because that is my lifeblood. That's how I get rid of all my stress. And then my foot's hurting. I can't go to the gym. And I'm like, I'm fucking falling apart. I told my sister, nobody knows this, but now I'm going to say it out loud. So everybody that does listen to this is going to know. I literally am on the floor crying, because I'm like, I'm falling apart. I'm dying. I can't walk, and then I ended up this is because I'm like, where was I going with any of this? And I had to go in and fill in for somebody at Williams-Sonoma because, I work there part-time, very part-time at the Mall of America. And so I was working one night for somebody, and all of a sudden I'm like, you get that tinge, because we were talking about going pee, and I got this tinge. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting a urinary tract infection. Like, how is this happening to me? I can't walk, and now I'm going to, it's going to hurt when I pee. What the fuck is going on? And for a guy to get a urinary tract infection is hard. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's very hard. And then the next thing I'm going is, do I have time? Am I too lazy to go to the grocery store and get cranberry juice? Because I need cranberry juice if I'm going to get rid of this urinary tract infection. And then I'm like, well, I have pomegranate juice. So I'm just going to laze it out and just try pomegranate juice to see if I feel better in the morning. So I went home and I grabbed the pomegranate juice. I'll say this and then I'll let you guys go because this is my world. I grabbed the pomegranate juice. I started drinking that. I'm like, because it's just that itch. Have you guys ever had a urinary tract infection?
Yes, I get them all the time.
Okay, listen. Okay, well, yeah, because girls get them easier than guys do. It's very hard for a guy to get them, if I haven't said that already. It's just like your bladder is itchy. So let's just think about your bladder inside of you just being kind of itchy.
Well,
but then when you pee, it's itchy too.
You have to pee all the time.
Yes. Oh my God.
And then when
so
you pee,
irritating.
it's only little tiny.
Yes, it is. It's like what the hell is going on? It's almost, but see, for a guy, you'd think you possibly have prostate problems.
Suzanne, will I ever get a urinary tract infection?
Let me see. No.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thank God. It was horrible. So I took a bunch of pills, and then because I thought, well, if I take ibuprofen, then that'll help with my foot. And then I have a couple muscle relaxers, so I took one of those. I'm totally a pill popper. And then I have prescription sleeping pills, and I thought, I'm going to take one of those too. And I'm laying in bed. My foot hurts. My bladder hurts. I'm just like, I'm a fucking mess. Like, what is wrong with me? I'm not that old.
And there's really nothing wrong with
There's
you.
nothing wrong with me. And then I can't get to sleep. So then I decided I was going to take a bath. I'm like, I'm going to take a calming bath because I told myself maybe water will go up my dick. And then it'll take care of my urinary tract infection. Like, is that possible? I didn't know, but I was like, I just want some relaxing water up there. So I was hoping that would work. And I'm drying the bath, and I forgot my daughter likes to shower at night. So that was just have to shower in the morning. So I had no fucking hot water. So I had to take a lukewarm bath. It just sucked. But I woke up the next day, and thankfully my urinary tract infection was gone.
You didn't have one.
Well, what did I have? I don't want to know
You
what it
had
was.
a crazy mind.
Huh? No, there was something going on.
There
I
was
guarantee to
nothing
you.
going on.
There was something going on down there. So, with that said, pomegranate juice also does work for urinary tract infections.
Most of our listeners will be listening to this after the fact, so how can they get a reading from Suzanne?
You go ahead, Suzanne. Where can we find you besides on the street corner?
On the street corner.
No, she's usually teaching cooking classes.
They could call or text me at 612-239-4585, or they could send me an email at psychic@SuzanneKrupp.com.
And Suzanne Krupp, for those of you who don't know, it is the traditional spelling for Suzanne, S-U-Z as in zebra, A-N-N-E. Krupp is K-R-U-P.com.
Correct.
So find her there, yes. And
Thank
she
you.
will be on here again. This will not be her only appearance. Excuse me. And we'll let you guys know when we're going to be doing another happy hour with the dead, because that was a lot of fun. It really
Yes.
was. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you,
I
Russ.
highly beg all of you to rate it, find me, because we are on iTunes. And, rate the podcast, give me your feedback. Let me know if there's anything that you want for us to talk about. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter. The Good Podcast is on Facebook. The Good Podcast is on Twitter. I also personally have, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all those kinds of things. And I always tell people, don't follow me on Instagram if you don't want to see hot men. So just bear that in mind, or Periscope for that matter. I like to Periscope
How do you
from the
get
sauna.
on Instagram? I've never used Instagram.
It's just an app on your phone.
I want to see some hot men.
Oh, you should follow me on Instagram. It's really delicious. So, again, thank you. And I just want to give out, 2 shout-outs. First of all, thank you, Sean Bernard, for giving me this opportunity for the podcast. I truly am loving this. It's a surreal experience to have the ability to use my voice to inspire other people. So, and thank you, Aaron, for being such a kick-ass producer. Like, it really... I
He's
trust
awesome.
you.
He's awesome.
I
He's
felt
so
an instant
cute.
connection with him, and I don't mean that in a pervy way. So it's really great to work with somebody that I know I can trust.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. So we'll catch all of you guys next week. I forget what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll have my sister on, but I do have some other guests coming on. I'm very excited. My friend from Fox, who's actually the casting director for Fox altogether. So all those shows that you watch on Fox, he picks those people to be on those shows. So it's going to be super, super fun. We became friends on Facebook. He thought I worked for Ryan Murphy, which is hilarious, who is the creator of like American Horror Story and Scream Queens and Glee. He created all those shows. He thought I worked for Ryan Murphy because he'd been at a party and met someone that's like my doppelganger. And so when we finally became friends, he like private messaged me. He's like, "Hey, Emmy buddy." Well, we had won at Fox, had won a bunch of Emmys. So I was like, well, that's kind of weird. But I just like, hey. And then he wanted to know when we were going out for lunch. And I was thinking, well, I don't live in LA, but it would give me an opportunity. So that's a little bit of the story. So, and of course now we're friends or whatever, but just kind of a funny way. Yeah, we just have to get you on the show.
I know.
You know, I mean,
I don't know if I can get up that early.
That's the problem, Suzanne. You have to get that little butt up early.
I know.
So, all right. Thank you. We'll check all of you out next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Check out all the things that I've talked about, and I love you. Bye.